It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you, Andy.
Good morning.
Good morning. We start the show by exactly not talking about Avengers, and it's my fault.
It's your fault.
I have not seen it, and let me just tell you, this was not intentional. It was not intentional because, I'm not really one to avoid spoilers. You know me. I mean, I kind of embrace the spoiler. Maybe not as enthusiastically as JJ does, but I do embrace the spoiler. And so there I am, not paying attention to Avengers. Like I haven't watched. I watched the first trailer, the first teaser, and then I really haven't watched any of the other trailers of the thing. And somehow I missed the news. Like I remember from 2-3 years ago when they said they were going to do Infinity Wars 1 and 2, and then I somehow missed the news that they betrayed themselves in their press work and said, "Oh, we're only doing one movie." Until yesterday, and I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm seeing it in 11 hours.
So you're betraying everybody now by telling all this, aren't you?
Well, if you've seen it, plug your ears, because I got a Twitter thing that says, "Oh, all at once, somebody was mad that they saw the movie and that it ends abruptly with a part 2 is coming." I didn't even know it wasn't going to be a part 2. So in the flash of about a half a second, I got super mad because super excited because I thought it was going to be part 1, and then mad again by a lot that they've switched back to part 2. That there's a part 2. So this is a real roller coaster, and I'm already dreading the end of this movie. I don't know when it comes. I don't know any of the major plot points. I am sure that they are going to try to toy with my emotions. I worry that I know too much, that they have been too loose in the business news about actors' contracts, and that is going to betray my viewing of it. So I'm really conflicted about this movie.
I know some people have issues with the real world information versus the world of the story.
I'm one of those people. We don't have to speak hypothetically.
There are those people, Peter. But I don't know. Once I'm in it, I find it really easy to just kind of let go and enjoy it. It's not the spoiler element, I guess. I allow to be part of the story, and if I know the actor has a continuing contract, I don't know. It just usually doesn't worry me too much as far as the story, because I mean I'll tell you. See, I can't even really tell you this.
Do you want me to plug my ears?
I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. Okay, so as you know, Australian actor Hugo Weaving plays Red Skull in Captain America: The First Avenger, right?
Wait, what?
I know. It yes, wasn't really a man with a red skull.
I did know that. Yes.
So he, when he signed on to do the film, he has a contract like so many of the actors do in the franchise for X number of films to continue his role as Red Skull. They're like, we don't know when it would be, but it's possible that we would want to come back and have you again. And it was, I don't know how many it was, 3 other films. I think it's just become a standard thing for these contracts these days.
Yeah.
But he said at a convention or something, or in an interview like last year or the year before, when they said, "Are you going to play Red Skull again?" He's just like, I really don't want to. I'm not that into those sorts of movies. I really would rather do movies that I'm interested in, that connect to me, and I just don't want to do it. And I don't think they're going to make me do something I don't want to do. And I thought that was really interesting. I was like, well, he probably has a point. I mean, if you really are vocally opposed to doing it, I'm sure they're not going to force you to do it. I mean, granted, he's Red Skull. He's not Tony Stark. But still, I think that there's something to that point about the nature of these films.
Well, and see, now that is a great that's a great example, and I think it goes toward your case. Though you have to say, Hugo Weaving is not is not the norm. He is anomalous in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? I can't think of any other actor who has that experience. And Tony Stark, right? Robert Downey
Especially
Jr.
somebody
is
who's been in
notorious.
the Matrix series, the Lord of the Rings series.
Yes. I mean,
Like,
maybe,
he's-
you know what would be great is if they tell him he can come back but play any other character that he's played. Like, he doesn't have to be Red Skull. He could be like Elrond or something. You know what I mean? But I think Robert Downey Jr. is a wonderful spoiler in these movies right now because he has notoriously been movie to movie not contracted for some time. And so he really could drop out anywhere. Like, it would really surprise me if he died in this movie. Don't know if he does. Don't know any of that because I don't know anything about his contract status. And that makes watching Iron Man a more entertaining experience for me because I genuinely don't know what's going to happen to that character. Right. And so plus I think there's this sort of I don't know, we're getting into this territory with these movies and they've been playing us with the Infinity Gauntlet so long that I don't know enough about the Infinity Gauntlet sort of storyline. But I just have this feeling that deaths in this universe can't really be trusted all that well. So I don't know.
And to that end, I mean, the material is out there. It's not like
I could go spoil myself
the
right now.
story's there,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Which is funny because as soon as the movie ended, I went and looked up the Infinity Gauntlet on Wikipedia, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what's going on. Which is terrible.
Okay.
I read to the end. I read the last chapter first. I'm that guy. But but it just I don't know. It just gets me excited. This was the first time that I watched one of these movies. And it really kind of made me go, gosh, I wonder if I should get that Marvel annual subscription so that I can just go back and read all of the comics whenever I want to.
Did it feel like I guess this could be a spoiler if you're like Andy and you want to go read these things and you haven't yet, but did it feel to you as if based on your reading of the Wikipedia synopsis aligned with what they were doing in the movie?
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, but there's, it's funny because the way that the comics are constructed, they have so many different characters in them. Like the person who's leading the charge on the good guys side is, I can't even remember who it was, but it's somebody I had never even heard of before. And so that really kind of struck me as a just kind of an odd thing. It's like, who is this character? So they've obviously changed the focus quite a bit as far as who is kind of driving the thrust. But I think a lot of it is the main focus of the story is there. Yeah, it's there's the character Mistress Death who is involved in it quite a bit that never pops up. And
wait, that never pops up in the movie, you mean?
She's never popped up in any film, or even in conversation as a character. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just one of those sorts of characters that is out there. I'm trying to remember what this guy's name. It was this Adam Warlock. That's who it is. Does that ring a bell to you as a superhero?
Yeah,
Adam Warlock.
Totally. I don't remember the backstory, but I know, and I'm sure I talked about Adam Warlock with JJ. Okay. Who knows much more about it than we do.
Okay. Well, he is somebody who's involved in all of that. And the Silver Surfer. And obviously Silver Surfer had been tied up with the Fox versus Disney/Marvel battle. I guess that is over. So theoretically, we could potentially start seeing Silver Surfer in these movies in the future. Anyway, I guess the point is there's definitely differences, as inevitably there are going to be. But I still think it's kind of like, any adaptation. You take kind of the core element of it and change it, but you change it in a lot of other ways, but you still leave that core there.
What I really want to ask more than anything is, does Hawkeye get any screenplay in Avengers because of all of the nonsense around promoting Jeremy Renner's role in Avengers 4? That is another thing besides whether Tony Stark actually dies in any coming movie, did Jeremy Renner make it? And I don't want to know. I don't want you to tell me, but I also do real bad.
Well,
is that weird that of this entire just mayhem of a movie, that's the thing I'm probably most interested in?
it's interesting who doesn't appear in the movie.
So there are people that aren't in this movie because that's, I
Of
think,
all of the group
spoiler.
of Avengers, they still have some who don't appear.
Really?
Yeah. Which kind of surprised me to some extent, because there were some people who I was like, well, we're missing some of our team, but
Okay, if I ask one and I'm right, will you tell me? Because I have a
Sure.
sense, I have an idea which one. Did Ant-Man make it in the movie? I don't think he did.
he did not.
And I think it's because his movie is on the way out.
I think that's why.
Okay. All right. Good. Hey,
I think they're like,
That's-
you know what? We're already paying you for this movie. It's
Yeah.
coming out right afterward.
you know, those checks are starting to stack up. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And I wish you would cash them. That's what we want. We just want you to start cashing your checks. Okay, well, that's the big Avengers stuff. Not there's exactly no news. I am looking forward to it. I'm taking my son and his buddies, which in their messages chat group are called DeBros. I don't know where they get this stuff. Clearly, I will be heavily in middle school mode tonight. I cannot wait. So
That's awesome.
That's it.
You've got DeBros and I've got the Ham Squad.
You do. You have the ham squad. Okay. What else do we have to talk? Anything we need to talk about before we dig into stuff? Are you good?
I think so. Let's just let's
right.
jump in.
Let's do trailers. A24 rule takes precedent. Here you go, Andy. You win.
I win. The this is a movie that I had heard about from weirdly, it was a friend of mine who she had actually worked on it as a film that I'm assuming filmed in kind of the New Mexico area, because that's where my friend lives and works. And it's a Western, so I was like, okay, it makes sense. I hadn't heard about it. It's a new Jessica Chastain film written by Stephen Knight, directed by Susanna White, who did what did Susanna White do? She's not a name that rings a bell. Oh, she did the Bleak House miniseries, which I saw some of and I enjoyed quite a bit. Looks like she's directed a lot of TV and things like that. She did Our Kind of Traitor, though. Did you see that one?
No.
I didn't either. I heard about it. It was with Ewan McGregor and Radivoj Bukovic. I know I'm getting his name wrong. Stellan Skarsgård. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any of those things.
And Naomi
those are
Harris
words that don't mean anything.
This though is not that film. This is the film that is. I didn't know about this woman, Catherine Weldon. She's a painter from this takes place in like the 1890s, and she goes to the Dakotas to paint Sitting Bull, the Native American chief, and while there, she it's like a journey film. You know, she goes there. She's not sure who she is, what she's trying to do with her life. Sitting Bull is in this place where he can't trust the way that the white men are moving in and kind of exploiting them. There's this big struggle over the rights to their land, all of this sort of stuff. And as this outsider who's trying to sort out who she is, aside from coming to paint this portrait, she ends up becoming connected with Sitting Bull and becomes this kind of friend of his and somebody who's kind of tied into the mix of this whole thing. Sam Rockwell is also in it, and it's nice now seeing in the trailers with Sam Rockwell when it says Academy Award winner Sam Rockwell, which I thought was pretty exciting to see. And, this is just one of those films. I really love these Old West stories. I love the stories about the plight of the Native Americans and just kind of, I just feel like it's such rich territory. And there's a lot of meat in those tales. And this looks like a really interesting one. I'm really curious. And Jessica Chastain, I mean, she's one of those people that I just want to see every time she's doing something because she is such an amazing actress to watch. So... and I should say, I don't even know if I mentioned the title. It's called Woman Walks Ahead, which I am guessing in the spirit of Dances with Wolves is the name that the Native Americans give to her. So, What did you think of this one?
I was so charmed by this movie, and it hit. I think you probably could predict the moment I was turned by the movie. At first, it's like seems like kind of a wandering thing, and until she meets Sitting Bull for the first time, and he's kind of digging in the dirt, and she's trying to use her hands to translate. I crossed many rivers, speaking really slowly, and he turns around and says, "You got a train here from New York, right?" And I thought, this is okay. I get it. I get this movie, and I'm excited to see it. This looks like one that's that's got a lot of charm and heart to it. In addition to talking about it, a great story. I was very excited to watch your trailer, especially given your allegiance to our list this week. Well done, Andy. This is a great
I didn't
pick.
even think about that connection, but look at that.
Yeah, look at you. You didn't think about that. You always think about these connections.
Doing it without even knowing it. It's just working on a subconscious level. That's how good I've become, I guess.
I guess that's what we're calling it. Anyway, I'm excited about it. This looks like a great movie, great cast.
I can't wait. It opens up. It opened at the Toronto International Film Festival last fall, and it's going to be hitting theaters this June on the 29th. So there you go.
My trailer is it's not, well, it's west. It's west. It takes place in Portland.
I was going to say northwest, yeah.
Yes, northwest. It's a northwestern film. And it is called Leave No Trace. It is directed by Deborah Granick, who's the woman behind films like Winter's Bone and Down to the Bone. And it was written by Granick and Anne Rossellini. And all of a sudden, because I have a friend who's a photographer named Ara Rossellini, and I wonder if they're sisters. That would be really funny. Ara, if you're listening, is your sister Anne, and did she write a movie? Because that'd be cool. Anyhow, it is based on the book My Abandonment by Peter Rock, and it appeared at Sundance just this year. It is a story of a father and his daughter who live in the woods, in a giant wooded area in Portland, and they are not doing anything to nobody. They just live in their lives. Dad's teaching the daughter, how to live, how to read and write, and they're doing their own thing, and they make a mistake, an unspecified mistake, and suddenly they are forced to integrate with the rest of civilization. The dad's played by Ben Foster. Love seeing Ben Foster in here, and Thomasin McKenzie as Tom, Will's daughter. Ben Foster's daughter in the movie. They look like a fantastic on-screen pair, and I don't know Thomasin McKenzie from anything, but she looks like she gives a wonderfully mature performance as the daughter in this movie. So I'm looking forward to this, not just because it takes place in my backyard, but because it looks like a great father-daughter story, and the story of what we leave behind and what we do to integrate with, what we've said are the societal norms, that we have to live by. I think that is a great story to tell, and I love them, and so I think this fits right in there for me. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. The problem I had with the trailer is I feel like I get so much of the story. It goes all the way through the conflict of them, and I felt like we were having the climax in the trailer. And I'm like, geez.
Yeah, they gave an awful lot of it away.
Unless I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised and see it and go, okay, well that happened right at the beginning. Who knows? I completely agree though that
turns out Ant-Man is in this movie.
Right. Thomasin McKenzie though looks amazing. Just a young actress who plays really well opposite Ben Foster, who's always great. And it's nice to see him in something where it's not quite such a dark character as he seems to love playing. But, when he's playing characters like this, like in this or The Messenger or things like that, as opposed to Hell or High Water or 3:10 to Yuma, I so connect with him. I think he's such a mesmerizing actor, and there's such soul and presence there. So, and it works really well in context of what we're doing here in the story. So, I'm very much looking forward to this one.
This one opened in January at Sundance and has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes as of, right now. And so it's one to, keep an eye on as more and more people see it. It's been hitting the festival circuit throughout the year. It opens limited in the U.S. June 29th, and in the UK, it looks like wide June 29th. of this year. So coming very soon, Leave No Trace.
Awesome.
All right, Andy, here we go. We had a little bit of
Yes.
confusion on our list this week. You tried to, I think you
Tried to throw you.
You held out, and as a result, I have two lists.
You're just ready for next week.
I'm ready for next
That's
week. So here we go. Set us up. What is the list we've landed on here?
This week we talked about James Dean's final film, Giant, which is a sprawling epic that takes place in Texas in the the 20s through the 50s, I guess we could probably say.
Yeah.
It feels very much like a Western, though. And so to that end, we said we're going to talk about Western epics. Actually, that was the one that our Patreon supporters voted on of the options. So here we are talking about our three favorite Western epics.
All right. Well, this was really hard. Let me just say that from the start.
Wow.
It was really hard because there are a lot of Western epics that I have not seen. As
Gotcha.
I'm going through the list, I realize, oh my goodness, I'm my cup is empty on a lot of these. I've seen kind of the big ones. We've talked about a number of the big ones, and some of them that I really wanted to pick, I've already picked for our purposes here on the list before for other reasons, and so I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
So here we go.
Well, here's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
What did you have a definition of epics?
Well, I started with time. Either it covers a long period of history, or, well, okay, so a long period of history. The movie's super long. that was certainly, I'm not going to lie, that was in there. Or it covered a historical movement or period or event that is of some cultural importance.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? So, or my last film, which is a complete and total cheat and just plain folly. So you'll have that to look forward to.
Excellent. All right, we'll kick it off.
Andy. No, I think you go first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, for my first choice, I'm going to go with one that I feel is probably a steal, because one of your favorites, Edward Zwick, directed it.
Okay.
Am I right?
Okay.
It's it's an epic in the sense of Giant, I suppose. It takes place kind of in the 20s through the 60s or something like that. This is Legends of the Fall, which is just a beautiful, beautiful film that Edward Zwick directed back in '94. That stars Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, Aidan Quinn, Henry Thomas, Julia Ormond. James Horner's score is fantastic. John Toll's cinematography is mind-blowing. This is a beautiful story about this colonel who leaves the army, and because of the way that the government deals with Native Americans, and he builds this ranch and raises his family. And then it's just kind of this story of his three sons and him as they kind of grow up and grow old and get out into the world and the different directions that they take. And I find it just a really touching and powerful film. And I love watching the journey of these brothers as they kind of go in different directions and try to, explore life and figure out what's going on and stuff. And there's some love triangle stuff like that, but on the whole, I just think that this is a delight of a film, and so that's my first choice. And it has Bart the Bear in it, and how could I go wrong?
Yeah,
picking a film with Bart the Bear. So Legends of the Fall. Well,
that's a good pick, and yes, it is a steal. That's okay. I actually have a list that is only one backup deep, so I have now. You can't steal anymore. I don't think you will. When I open my bidding here with the 1980 Michael Cimino film Heaven's Gate. Now, wait. Let's talk about this a minute. This movie is the story. It is an epic story of the Johnson County War that stood between land barons and European immigrants in Wyoming. It was essentially an argument of states' rights, but it was really business interest rights over what they said were squatters. And this cast is amazing, right? I mean, the cast is, we've got Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken, John Hurt, Sam Waterston, Brad Dourif, Isabelle Huppert, Joseph Cotton, Jeff Bridges, right? I can keep going. Jeffrey Lewis, Paul Koslow, Richard Mazur, Ronnie Hawkins, Terry O'Quinn, Tom Noonan, Mickey Rourke, right? I mean, please, Nicholas Woodson and William Dafoe are also in this movie as in their first parts, first feature films. This movie is quite controversial because when it was released, it was absolutely panned as one of the most terrible films of all time. One of the reviewers said, this is like a 4-hour tour, walking tour of your own living room. It's so boring. And so it was just terrible. And I saw it somewhere in between that period, right? It was released in 80. I did not see it in the theaters. I saw it, somewhere probably 10 years later, I guess. And I don't remember it as a good movie. I remember it as a big movie, but not as a good movie. It was apparently re-released in 2012, 2013. I have not seen this movie either. It is supposedly the definitive director's cut. It was released at the 69th Venice Film Festival, and this may be a movie to go see, to pick up and actually check it out and see if it really is as bad as it was initially said to be. What's your take on Heaven's Gate?
I have never seen it.
Oh.
Well, it's one of those ones that was panned for
you?
so long. It's like,
why would
waste
you?
my time? The only thing that actually piqued my curiosity is when Criterion released it, and I was like, well, maybe there's something to check out there. So I feel like maybe one day I'll give it some time to check out, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah. Well, a number of important people have come to the defense of this film since it has been re-released, and encourage us to give it the credit that they say it is due. So, what are you going to do? But I open with Heaven's Gate because the weight of the cast is amazing. And Cimino at this time, I mean, he was the guy. This was right on the eve of his Oscar wins for Deer Hunter, and this is a tough one. So there you go, Heaven's Gate.
Gotcha.
What's your number two?
Number two for me is Sam Peckinpah at his finest. It's hard for me to not put a lot of Sam Peckinpah on the list because I so easily could. But Western epic, I just have to go with The Wild Bunch, which I think is just such a great film about this group of old outlaws want to try their last big score. The West is kind of not what it used to be, and so they're trying to kind of figure out what to do. And so they're going to do this one last big bank robbery and then head to Mexico. And this is just an incredibly gritty film, as Sam Peckinpah's films tend to be. It's it very much kind of was pretty amazing at the time because of the way that the editing, just a lot of quick edits, a lot of blending between normal speed shots and slow motion shots, and so you kind of had all that mixed together. For 1969, it was like really fresh and new and exciting, and it's just gritty and bloody. And this kind of hit at a time when cinema started transitioning into what we kind of saw in the 70s. Between this and Bonnie and Clyde, I think there were some nice films that kind of led into this darker period. And this film is just, watching William Holden and Ernest Borgnine and Robert Ryan, Edmund O'Brien, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson, just this great group of guys as they go on this journey and try to figure out what's next for them. It's just a really, really brilliant film. So that's my second choice, The Wild Bunch.
Oh, that's a good one, Andy.
Was it a steal?
It was not a steal. It was not a steal because of my next pick, which is a part of a theme that I started with you in a text a year and a half ago.
Wow,
that I feel like
jumping back.
Yeah, it is. This series started me thinking about this series that I wanted to do with you of the films that talk about Custer, George Custer. And I haven't seen very many of them, but there are a lot. There are
Oh,
a
there
lot
really?
of movies about Custer. Do you know any movies about Custer off the top of your head?
One.
Which one is that?
It's probably the one you're about to say.
Well, let's see. Go ahead. What's yours?
Little Big Man.
Yeah, see, that's not it.
Oh, okay.
That's not the one I'm going to pick. And I'll tell you why. The one I'm going to pick is not as good, I think, as Little Big Man. The one I'm going to pick is actually, but it has a better performance of Custer, I think. It is Custer of the West. This is Robert Siodmak. I never pronounced that right. Robert Siodmak is the director, and it stars as Custer Robert Shaw, a youngish Robert Shaw. But man, can you ever see the Jaws Robert Shaw in here? He's just great in this movie. Overall, the movie is not as good. I have not seen very many Custer movies, and it really makes me want to go and look at more of them. I started this text with you. I was sitting in a lecture about the historical importance of Custer and how his legacy has been treated in media. And I think it's a fascinating character to talk about. This movie came out in 1967. It skates just under the 6-star IMDb rule. It earns 5.8. It's about worth a 5.8. But that is buoyed absolutely by Robert Shaw's performance in this film. Also stars Mary Urey and Ty Harden, Jeffrey Hunter, Lawrence Tierney shows up in it. It's a good film with a great central performance, and it's worth seeing. 1967, Custer of the West.
I have never seen it, had never heard of it, as per my ignorance of films dealing with Custer. So that piques my curiosity. It's interesting. It would be an interesting exploration to do a series about a character like that, and just look at different ways that character has been portrayed over time.
Totally. And I want to lobby again maybe for a Robert Shaw series, just because he was another guy. I mean, he has 65 acting credits and he died at 51. Like, that is a heady career in a short sort of professional lifespan.
He's and that would allow us to talk about what's the fantastic one where he plays Henry VIII. Yeah, he's a brilliant actor. I have seen very few of his films. Oh, it's right before Custer of the West. It's A Man for All Seasons.
Oh, totally. Yes. Yeah. We've already talked about The Sting and
Jaws. I think we
did Jaws and Spielberg, but I would love to get back into this and watching. I've spent the morning kind of watching clips from this movie again and kind of scrubbing through it. His performance is fantastic, and I think we should talk about him some more.
We can certainly do Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 as movies in the remakes series.
Absolutely.
So,
and we could do The Deep as a worse Jaws.
we could go that route.
All right. What's your next one?
So for my final pick, I'm really torn because I want to go with one of my big sprawling epics, but I think I'm actually going to cheat and go with something that's definitely not sprawling. It's a much smaller story, but it's a film that has always stuck with me. It's a film that in junior high, a film class that I had in junior high, our teacher showed it to us, and it's just always stuck in my head. It's a Kirk Douglas film with Gena Rowlands and Walter Matthau, written based on a novel by Edward Abbey, screenwriter Dalton Trumbo, and directed by David Miller. It's the film Lonely Are the Brave. Have you ever seen this one?
Never even heard of it.
It's a great movie. My recollection of it as a junior high kid is it's a great movie. But IMDb gives it 7.7, so I think I am probably right. It's a modern cowboy story, and it's not an epic by any stretch of the imagination. It's a small story, but my sense of it, the way that it's stuck in my head, is this was kind of like this epic character journey for this character who is this kind of cowboy. I think it takes place in the I want to say in the 50s or 60s. But he's still just kind of this roaming ranch hand who refuses to join society, and it's this journey that he goes on as it's almost like this battle against society that he has. He doesn't have a driver's license, or he doesn't have anything to prove who he is really. He tries to bust a friend out of jail, but his friend won't go because his friend is just like, I don't need to go. I'm about to get out anyway, and I want to see my family again. And so he busts out, and then this sheriff, played by Walter Matthau, who's very sympathetic to this guy because he knows he was in the Korean War, and has a Purple Heart, all this sort of stuff, is trying to kind of get him and kind of stop him. But it's this battle of this cowboy who refuses to adapt to society as he kind of goes on the run and tries to make it to Mexico. And between the sheriff chasing him and it's just like he doesn't understand the world anymore. And I love this kind of this epic journey that he goes on, and the way that the story kind of brings Carroll O'Connor as this truck driver in, like, spattered throughout as we kind of explore what's going to happen with him. It's just it's a film that has always set with me. And I know it's not quite an epic. It certainly isn't epic in length. It's not even 2 hours, but it's just a film that always felt like an epic internal story for this character. So that's my final pick, Lonely Are the Brave.
Well, I've got it on the list. I can't believe I haven't heard of it.
And Kirk Douglas says it's his favorite film that he did.
Yeah, no, it's on the list. My final pick is, it's kind of folly. I guess you could say it's epic because it kind of fits in epic length almost. It is the 2 hour and 38 minute long musical comedy Western, Paint Your Wagon, 1969, starring Lee Marvin, Clint Eastwood, and Gene Seberg, from director Joshua Logan. Now, this movie is... There's a lot of nonsense in this movie and some really good stuff. I think it's, the whole premise of the musical, that these guys are inspired by the polygamous nature of the Mormons to both marry one woman, is I think a delightful comedy. They're trying to get the gold that they find in a gravesite that they're digging, and end up lamenting the lack of female companionship, and it creates a really fun little trio on screen. Clint Eastwood is he's just... I love watching these movies where we go back and get to see him as a younger man. Lee Marvin is also, terrific. His facial hair is epic. And I had a great time. The first time I saw this movie, I really had a great time. And I was big into musicals at the time. The music is good. It's not great, but there are some, key performances, some key songs that you probably don't know were in Paint Your Wagon. So it's worth putting on the list, just to see a Western comedy musical that isn't Oklahoma.
That makes me wish that I put Cannibal the Musical on my list.
Yes, yes.
Oh, well.
So there you
Next
go.
time. I haven't seen it. I've never seen Paint Your Wagon.
Really? Oh,
it's one
good.
of those ones I've heard was never any good, so I've never bothered.
Yeah,
just like Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, right. So look, this is me, bro. Three
Bringing
really
the best.
crappy movies. No, it's really fun. You should definitely you should check it out. It's not, but don't go into it expecting it's great.
Right.
Bring really good snacks. All right, so
Excellent,
where do we go?
excellent.
We've got a little bit of a challenge this coming week, with our Saturday matinee next week. What do you want to do about that? Because it's a scheduling challenge. Because I'm traveling and won't be able to get it live. Should we do it anyway? Will you do it with somebody else, and then we'll get it live just later?
Yeah, we could do that and just release it. It would be like the Saturday matinee released. What? How late is it going to be going?
Yeah, probably Monday. It'll be the Monday matinee.
Late Saturday matinee.
Yeah, very late Saturday matinee. But at least we wouldn't have a hole on the calendar.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm fine to do it. Yeah. So we already kind of have our poll for next week's list. We are kicking off our time travel series, which is going to be a lot of fun, with Time Crimes, the fantastic Spanish film directed by Nacho Vigalondo. And for our list options, we came up with just the very generic and broad time travel. We have...
That sounds like we're giving up, but we're just trying to start broad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Then we have... why am I forgetting what the second choice was? What was it?
Well, now I have to go in and look at the poll.
The third choice, I know, which as of now is in the lead, so it might be where we're going. It's the second one was Masks, films where your protagonist had to cover their face for some reason, and we couldn't use superhero films.
That's right.
But the third one, which is in the lead, is films where your protagonist makes a choice, and because of that choice, kind of keeps going on a downward spiral as they try to get themselves out of the hole that they are digging themselves into.
So I screwed up and did my list for these movies already, and how funny is it that this is one of those where you could do an entire series of movies, downward spiral movies, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, like in a heartbeat, with lots to spare. I think it's going to be a fun series, and I now regret that I won't be able to be there to record it.
I know. We'll be sad. You'll have to send me your list, and I can read a few of them if you'd like.
All right. By proxy.
But not if it's stealing from my list.
You can have them. You know what? They're all yours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. Anyway, that's going to be a good list. And I can't wait to get into this time travel series. That's going to be super fun.
It will be. It is going to be a great one. And then we can go back in time and do it all over again.
Well, this is always fun to chat with you on our fine Saturday mornings, Andy.
Likewise, sir. Likewise. And I guess we'll be chatting soon on the regular show. But otherwise, have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you, sir. Off to prepare for the devastation that is Infinity War.
Have fun.
Thank you, everybody who has downloaded, listened to this show. Thanks for supporting us on Patreon. We sure appreciate it, helping us to figure out ways to grow this show and do new things. And we appreciate you helping us be there to do it. So patreon.com/thenextreel, and tell your friends, tell your family, invite them to join us. Get on Discord, have some fun, talk about movies. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.